This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, this is Cindy Harris, and welcome to the second episode of Sweet World. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my tiramisu recipe. Now, tiramisu is a wonderful Italian dessert, and it's usually made traditionally with lady fingers that are dipped in espresso coffee with this wonderful cream that goes on top. Well, let me show you how I make mine. Now, the first thing we're going to do is get 1 1/4 cup of cold espresso, and we're going to add to that some dark rum, about 3 tablespoons full. Now, if you don't have espresso around, what you can do is just make some coffee, chill it down, and add a teaspoon of instant espresso powder. And then we're just going to mix those two things together, and we're just going to set this liquid aside for the moment. Now for the cake part of the tiramisu, traditionally you would use lady fingers. I have trouble finding lady fingers consistently where I live. So what I have found works really well is I get a pound cake, and I can always get a frozen pound cake at the grocery store. And then what I do is I slice the pound cake up into little 1/4 to 1/2 inch slices. Now for this dessert, I make it in an 8 by 8 or 9 by 9 inch pan. And what I do is I just take the slices of the pound cake, and you can overlap them a little bit, that's fine. But you want to fit 1 layer of them in the bottom of the pan. Now we want to start getting some of that espresso and rum flavor on the cake. So basically what we do is we take half of the mixture and we drizzle it all on top of the pound cake layer that's in the pan. Now over at the mixer, we're going to get some mascarpone cheese, and they usually sell it in about 8-ounce containers. So we want 2 8-ounce containers in the mixer, get it softened, and then we're going to take 2/3 of a cup of sugar, and we're just going to kind of slowly whisk that sugar into the cheese, and we want to get it sort of nice and light. And next we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of heavy whipping cream, and I'm going to drizzle it in kind of slowly, and because I don't want it to fly everywhere. But this whipping cream is going to really lighten the mascarpone cheese up and really give it nice volume. And then to give it some flavor, we're going to add a tablespoon of vanilla and also a tablespoon of the dark rum. Keep mixing it on a fairly fast speed until it starts to look like this, almost like it were really dense whipped cream. That's what we're looking for. Now it's time to put the rest of the tiramisu together. So bring the mascarpone cheese over, and what you're going to do is take half of it out of the mixing bowl, and we're going to go ahead and spread it on top of the pound cake. Now you can use a spatula if you'd like. You can also use an offset spatula, which can be kind of handy. This cream is really thick to move around. And because this dessert is layered, it's really important that you get the cream all throughout the pan. You want to make sure you have a pretty even layer all the way through. And then next we're going to take just a little teeny strainer, put just a tablespoon of cocoa powder in, the unsweetened kind, and then we're just going to kind of tap that on top of that mascarpone cheese. Now it's time to put our next layer of cake down. So again, for this 8 by 8 pan, it's 2 rows of 4 of this size pound cake. And again, you can overlap it a little bit to make it fit. And then once we get the cake in, we're going to add the rest of our espresso rum right on top of the cake. And once the cake is all covered with the espresso, we're going to go ahead and put the rest of the mascarpone cheese mixture on top. And again, I'm going to use my offset spatula to move this cream around. This is really the top layer of the tiramisu, so you really want to make sure that it's spread out nice and evenly all throughout the pan. Now to garnish the top, we're once again going to put a little bit of cocoa powder in the strainer and go ahead and do a nice thin layer of that on top. And then the last thing I do to garnish the tiramisu is I get one of these large semi-sweet chocolate bars, and then I take my potato peeler, and on one end I just drag the peeler over the chocolate, and then I get these great little thin shavings of chocolate, and I just go to town all over the top of the tiramisu with that. Then all you have to do is cover it with plastic wrap and pop it in the refrigerator. Now, the longer this sits, the more the flavors marry. And you can see the pound cake isn't even white anymore. It's just saturated with that espresso and rum. And there's something about adding that little bit of dark rum that just makes this dessert taste so good. This dessert is also great for company because you can make it so many hours ahead of time. Just have it in the refrigerator, and then when you're ready to serve it, you just cut it into squares and get a little spatula and pop it out, and boy, you serve it with a little double espresso. It'll be like you're right in Italy. Now, if you'd like to get the recipe for this tiramisu, just go to our website and visit the Sweet World show notes. And as always, if you have any questions for me, send me an email. I'll see you next time.